Thank you so much for tuning in to yet another episode of The Real Israel Podcast with me, your host, Chaim Mailspin. Join us as we dive into Israel's past, present, and future as we explore the rich history, current events, and visionary perspectives shaping this dynamic region. Shalom and welcome to another episode of The Real Israel Podcast, where we meet real heroes and the real Israel. My name is Chaim Mailspin, your host. I'm here, not too far from the Mediterranean Sea, at the home of Datia, and we have also Moti here. And you guys work together in HaShomer, nonprofit NGO, right? And HaShomer, this is named after the original watchmen, the original group, a militia that became the IDF today that I'm part of. Is that right?
HaShomer was an organization that started with a very radical idea that Jews can save themselves. It was after the riots that were in Europe in 1903 in Russia. People were slaughtered.
Pogroms, they called them.
Pogroms, right. So people were slaughtered, and a group of people came to Israel and said, we're not going to go on like that. We're going to defend ourselves. We're going to save ourselves. And it was a very different thing in the way of thinking of the whole world. We're talking about 1907, about 7 people, youth that came together, started in Yafo, then in Kfar Tavor, and in the end they came to the farm. That's what we want to do, the HaShomer farm.
And this is the second Aliyah. There was malaria, there was swamps, there was nothing really in what was then called Palestine. It was an empty, very barren. I mean, Mark Twain talks about it at that time being completely barren, where an animal couldn't even live. But just before we get into that so much, a little bit more about yourselves and who you are. So now, Moti, you are married, you have children, you work here in this charity, and what's your job in this charity?
Yeah, I'm meant to bring the money.
Okay, fundraising.
to build our idea. The idea basically, you wanted to hear a little about us.
Yeah.
So I was born in Denmark.
Okay.
Came to Israel in 1968. When I was 16 years old. I decided after the 6-Day War that I have to come to Israel. That's the time. Made Aliyah, as we call it. And then since then, you know, like every young Israeli, been in the army. I'm a major, the reserve in the Israeli army. And then married in 77. We have 6 children. We live in the Shomron. We have been heavy activists the last 50 years in rebuilding Judea and Samaria, what in America is called mistakenly the West Bank.
Right.
We are building it up, and when we started, there were a few thousand there. Today there are more than 600,000 Jews living in Yehuda v'Shamor.
Oh wow!
And we are very satisfied with what we have done there, Baruch Hashem.
I was actually married myself in Psagot, friends with Yaakov Berg.
Wow.
And
in the winery.
Yeah, on that hilltop there, not too far from Jerusalem there. And you're also married and 6 kids too?
No, unfortunately, I have 3 kids.
Okay.
But I'm a tour guide in my profession.
Oh.
And I came to Gush Katif. I'm from that, after being in Judea and Samaria, I came to Gush Katif.
Which is the southern Gaza. It's on the beach, right? Not too far from Egypt and from the Egyptian border inside Gaza. Wow.
In the Gaza region. That was evacuated in
2005.
Yeah. So I came there and I established the tourism area. We did studies about what happened there. It's a fascinating area as far as history and nature. And
synagogues.
The biggest synagogue that was found in excavations in Israel, in Gaza. A lot of history, Jewish histories in Gaza. And then I became the spokesperson of the municipality. And 2005, we were evacuated.
And there was 21 villages, you call them, communities, little cities.
Yeah,
okay.
21.
And the Gush means the cluster of cities.
The Gaza region was...
Jewish cities in Gaza.
No, it was basically 3 parts. There was the northern part of the Gaza region that is north to Gaza, the city. There are 3 settlements, Dugit, Nisanit, Elei Sinai. In the center was Netzarim. Today they're talking about Sir Netzarim, so basically it's the center of the Gaza region. And in the south, there was the main population. most of them agricultures, and the idea was to have the agriculture on the sand dunes, and there were a lot of interesting things there as far as education and agriculture.
And so you guys had to leave. Ariel Sharon had a change of mind because of the Oslo Accords, and they said it'll be best to have the sandbox divided. These children can stay over here, these children over there, and the Middle East sandbox everyone will be in peace. But it turns out it came...
They promised us everything will be fine, and everybody said, what are you talking about, missiles from Gaza on Israel? Impossible.
Right.
So we can say today, because that's the actualities, the war that is raging down there in Gaza between Israel and the Hamas movement, terrorist movement, is a result of the destruction of the Gush Katif area and the expulsion of the many Jews that lived there at that time. We have really reached the point here today with the catastrophe that went on in 23, started in October 23, still raging now in the Gaza Strip.
So just one more thing about your history is that it's so interesting. Now, did you feel a lot of danger? I know it was a little dangerous there in Gaza to live. People say it wasn't just, but I know that a lot of people would go and buy groceries there, and there's soccer tournaments with with Gazan children and Israeli children. And what did it feel like living there? Did you feel like in terror every day?
So I tell you, first of all along the time after establishing the State of Israel, Gaza was because it wasn't under any sovereignty. Egypt didn't take it as part of it, so it was basically a unit on itself. Also, people were very poor, there were a lot of problems, and most of it was directed towards Israel. So also in the 50s, there were the Fadayun, terrorists that came to the southern of Israel. And then the idea was that if we want to maintain control on the Gaza region, you have to divide it to different areas and settle it. They knew that the only way to control and bring the army will be by settlement on the 50s already. 1967, we came again, and then also the idea, Netzarim in the center, so you have the way to control what's happening, sitting on the border with Egypt. The only way that terror would not flourish in the Gaza region was the Jewish holding of the area. And once we went out, that was very obvious. Hamas went in, the border with Egypt was open, so all the weapons and the cars and whatever went in, and we could not control it. And we said, if you take the settlements of Gush Katif out, the terror will happen on the kibbutzim and the people that are surrounding the Gaza region. They were second target. So we went out, and to the horror of all of us, they were second target, and it's very sad what happened there, but it was, 1 and 1 is 2.
That's true. So you decided to spend your life to look back to the beginnings. So I serve in the IDF and deal with the tunnels in Gaza for the last, this point of this filming, 653 days. And it's just been a long season of seeing so many weapons, so many RPGs and guns, and all kinds of attack tunnels and tunnels with cages in them to hold Jewish people. And you think, man, what? And I remember actually we were digging to open up a tunnel, and I saw all this pottery. There was a moment where I stopped and I did a video of myself digging up the pottery and saying, this could have been Jewish pottery. Maybe it could have been Canaanite pottery. It could have been Philistine pottery. I don't know. Maybe Goliath. Maybe that was his, I don't know. But there's definitely so much history and so much richness, and I wish we could get back to knowing where we're going. You got to know where we came from. And so I know that also I live in Perea. So being there, you have a real honoring of this man called Shimon Goldman and his wife. And he was a part of this HaShomer. So can you tell me a little bit more about HaShomer and what HaShomer was and how it was instrumental in the founding of the IDF?
HaShomer was an organization of young people, that's also amazing, and they were in what we are trying to rebuild is the HaShomer farm that was built by ICA, 1900. That was the beginning. And what was different in the way of thinking of people, not only the fact that we're going to defend ourselves and we're going to learn how to fight, etc., and establishing the force of security of the state of Israel, or land of Israel, but also the way that they put the settlements in the lower Galilee. There were a few settlements together as a center with HaShomer. Then was the area of Yavnel and Poria also. So the idea was that they're working as clusters of settlements, helping one another. And also the way they had the product and things like that. So there were a lot of new ideas around how to settle the country. And one of the very impressive settlement was Poria. And Poria was established by Shimon Goldman. He was a very smart person. He came to Israel and was in charge of Bnei Yehuda. That was a settlement in the Golan Heights.
Right.
And there he failed. You know, in the beginning it was very hard. Israel was full of malaria. As you said, it's a very hard place to live in. So he was there for a few years and people left and he went to England and then to St. Louis. And when he came to St. Louis, what was very impressive, that he said, listen, we need a power of, first of all, money. We can't depend on one person, you know, for charity. So 40 families established a company where they paid every year in order to have their own place in Israel. And after he did that in 1907, so they brought it to Israel. They bought 3,000 dunam of land, and also what they wanted to grow is things that they take time until you know you have something of it. So they planted olive trees, almond trees, and trees take a few years. And in that time, these families were supposed to arrange themselves to take, you know, the time. The money kept on coming. They did a beautiful place there. The buildings were fascinating, and families started to come. And then they had a school there. So
in Poria, right?
In Poria. Okay. So the different idea of Poria was that, you know, you have people that support you from abroad, and they are the one to go on. And HaShomer, that they were a youth. Not youth, but they were an organization of young people, spent a lot of time in Poria. Poria was already a place that you can come there and sit there. And one of them, Yosef, he was the guy that married the daughter of Shimon. Shimon Goldman had 6 or 7 kids. They were because they came from England and United States, their English was very good, so it helped negotiating later on with the British and things like that.
But when it was founded, it was still under the Turkish mandate? And that was so they bought the land from the Turks originally?
They bought from Ika. Ika already bought it from the people that were the local people around. We're talking on the Turkish, and what was a big problem there that started World War I, and then situation in the land was very, very hard. Money stopped coming from the United States because it was a war. So a few, 3-4 years, they had to basically desert the place. He died, unfortunately, Shimon Goldman. And
there was water issues too, right? Something with the water wasn't enough.
Water is also always a problem in Israel.
Yeah.
But they found places to bring the water from. But it was a beautiful place. And Hannah Goldman and Yosef Nichmias, married there, and that was the connection to the HaShomer organization. So later on, when in 1920,
Yosef Ben Zvi?
Ben Zvi was one of the people that established.
Yitzhak Ben Zvi, right?
Yitzhak
Ben Zvi.
He was
president of Israel.
Yeah, the president of Israel, and his wife, by the way. Establishing the HaShomer organization were 2 women. The wife of Ben Zvi, Rachel Yanait Ben Zvi, and Manya Shochet. That she was the wife of Israel Shochet, but they were women that did things that were fascinating. So basically the idea now is to educate the young people, people from abroad, families, whatever, to the values that were the foundation of the Zionism in the state of Israel. And it's young people that did it, and they changed basically the world. As you said, Israel was a deserted place. It was very neglected, etc. And look how it looks today. But it was because people thought different. And these are the people that did it in these buildings, in HaShomer.
Yeah, I know the first ever kibbutz was Degania. That was in 1910. So you're talking about 1907. This is essentially the first modern Israel, settlement city, essentially one of the first. And Shimon Goldman on his tombstone in Korea says the most the havatik biyoter, the oldest, most ancient Zionist and founder of Korea.
Well, let's say that
of modern Israel,
As a matter
the
of
foremost
fact,
Zionist of modern Israel.
That's why we believe very strongly that these outstanding buildings,
Yeah.
from the birth of the Zionism, I think the most Zionistic buildings in the land of Israel today should be used to educate our young people, also older people, our children, and it should be built in. That's what we are aiming for.
Yeah.
We have met the army, we have met everybody to start to get it going, so that we can, in an interactive visitor center, tell the story of HaShomer.
And so they came from being the watchmen for Israel, literally watching for raiders, terrorists,
not only watching, fighting,
and learning how to farm and defend, physically shooting, sword fighting, maybe. Shooting. Okay.
By the way, if you want to make a connection between everything, and Datia mentioned it, what happened in Gaza? What happened in Gaza was because we were not there. This is something we have to educate about. When the Jews are not in their land, we don't know anything that's going on in there, and then we with our own hands sometimes build this an organization as Hamas. We want to educate the people up there in the HaShomer because this is the ancient army of the state of Israel.
It's true. It became the HaShomer. Eventually, it was like a militia. It eventually became the four: Irgun, Lechi, Palmach, and Haganah. It became the Haganah.
Yes.
And then, which eventually, under Ben Gurion, became the IDF together in the 1948.
Right.
1947, 1948. And the establishment of the State of Israel.
And had quite a start because they had so many different countries coming against Israel when we just came out of the Holocaust. The story of Israel is just phenomenal and amazing. But here's what a lot of people don't know, that bad education is why the Hamas even exists. It's not because the Western mind, they say, I live in my life, the American dream, I live in my life, I don't hurt you, you don't hurt me. If you hurt me, then I will hurt you. This is the Western mindset. So they say the Hamas is massacring Israel, taking hostage babies, killing babies with their bare hands, the Bibas family and so on. So maybe Israel did something so bad to them, that's why they're doing something so bad back. But we say, no, you don't understand. We left. We did nothing to them except provide them all kinds of great jobs, and there was a lot of peaceniks, peace-loving people that love Arabs, offered them jobs and everything on the border there. But what happened is the education was bad. The education killed Jews. And the same in Iran. We've never had a war with Iran, but they've been saying death to Israel, death to America, death to Israel, death to America. It's not because America did something to Iran either. When has America ever done anything to Iran?
But that's part of the jihadism in the end.
Yes.
So what you are doing, I think, is extremely important because you are trying to tell the people in the world the truth. What is really going on here?
What is the real Israel?
There is so much disinformation about what's going on in Israel.
Yeah.
So if you do what you do,
that's what we got to do together.
At least some hundreds of thousands of people will know the truth.
That's true.
Very important.
So Hannah Goldman, the daughter of the founder, Shimon Goldman, married someone, and they started something in Ilania. Is that right? And you even have a little booklet over here about that, which I see. So is that right that they took HaShomer and...
They're already part of the Shomer.
They were one of the 7 pioneer families.
Yes. Stage second, let's say. He was the treasurer.
Shimon was the treasurer.
No, Yosef.
Okay.
Hannah's husband. Okay. He was the treasurer of Irgun HaShomer. And by the way, there's a very interesting story that they tell until today that during World War I, the British sent money to Israel to help us against the Turkish. And there's the treasure of Nili that was a cart full of gold, money. Okay. To help the people in Israel. So it came here to Atlit, by the way, we're sitting very close to Atlit. Okay.
The British had a detention camp over here to stop Aliyah.
But that was after that.
Okay.
Came a British boat to the shore of Atlit with this cart of gold, and they brought it basically to Nili, to another organization who was there.
Okay.
But Nili couldn't keep it.
In Korea.
In Zichro.
Okay.
And Nili could kept it, so the money of Nili went to Poria. And
Oh.
there, Yosef Nachmias took it as part of the thing that he was supposed to work with. So Poria was basically the place where the gold came, and nobody found it since then. So there's a whole mystery between Poria and HaShomer, and where did the gold went to?
So he was the treasurer as well.
He was a treasurer.
So it makes total sense that he would have it. Now,
In
did he have a
Poria.
treasury? I mean, I know that they had the house there. I've been in the ruins of this main
So
house.
it's close to your house. Look, go check it out. It's
Yeah, go find
supposed to
some
be the
bunch of
gold
gold.
of Nili there.
Well, it must go to keep these buildings. In fact, you know what I'll even say? Whether or not we find that gold, we know that it was used to be called Achuzat St. Louis, or the holdings, the holdings of St. Louis.
Yeah.
And I thought about that a long time. I thought, is this really a way to show love and to show pioneering? Maybe in America they don't have the Oregon Trail anymore. Oregon Trail is they go on these covered wagons,
Yeah.
and they go to settle. That's what they used to have. Now we still have that here. When you think of the Golan Heights, you think of these areas that need to show and to honor the pioneers. There are people in all over the world who would want to be part of pioneering in their way, even if it's just donating. I'm sure they'd want to come and volunteer and pioneer and learn. So we have a really good thing called the Stay, Pray, Learn, Serve. That is the Faithful Galileans charity that we started. It's Stay, Pray, Learn, Serve. They come and they pray for Israel. They bless Israel. And so, so this place is another place that is near Elania, another pioneer building that needs to be restored. Now, isn't there like government funding, a lot of government funding for these things that they say this is a very this is the founding of Israel?
I'll tell you another thing that's important to remember, that every time that was a quarrel of two nations on the same land, and that's what's happening today, you know, one nation has to win it, because we tried to live together and it didn't work. It happened all over the world. The two religions or two nations tried to be together on the same land. And they want Ashdod and Tel Aviv. They want the state of Israel. That's the thing today. So we think that the more you explain your point, the history, the facts, we were here before. We had here a big nation of Israel here in
Solomon, David.
Right, and we have it in the Bible, you know, it's written, the whole world agrees that the Bible is true, and this is what it said.
Archaeology shows the coins. And
So now if you're starting to argue, we want the people to know what they're talking about. And that's where education is essential for our being in the state of Israel.
I think people don't even know at this time, Palestine Airways, British Airways, the Palestine Airways was Jewish. I mean, you have Hebrew underneath it. It says Land of Israel Airways in Hebrew.
Yeah, Palestina, Eretz Israel.
Eretz Israel, Land of Israel. Palestine, Land of Israel. They think, some people are confused and think this is maybe some other country. No, this whole swath of land. And if they really wanted to, quote, free Palestine, are they talking about Syria? Are they talking about Jordan? Are they saying, get out, Jordan? Are they saying, no, it's just against Israel. It's not about the old land swath, which was very big.
Yeah, but we know that so many people have no idea what is Palestine.
Right.
Have no idea at all. And people don't know that the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, was established in 1964, 3 years before the Six-Day War. So why did they establish that organization? We were not in Judea and Samaria. We were not in the West Bank at that time. So education, that's the whole thing. It's
they
a
can't
very
say
important point.
You need to liberate. To liberate what? Liberate with the area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm saying that all over the world. In the old days when I was touring the world, making hasbara as you are doing, making information, that's the main point. Hello, why did they establish PLO in 1964?
Right.
Okay, and people say, oh, wow, now we understand it maybe a little better.
Yeah.
Because they didn't do it because we were in Judea and Samaria. They did it because what Datia said.
Yeah.
They want Haifa and Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. That's what they want really, in the end.
Yeah.
And we are not going to give it to them.
Right.
We think that this center in the HaShomer is something not only for Israelis, it's something for the whole world to be educated there because of the, it's so ancient. That's the beginning. And when you start from the beginning, people it's easier for them to understand what we are talking about.
That's true. So this farm, just to summarize, you would like this to become a visitor center, and this is near Illinois. It's not too far from Perea. Maybe both these locations are similar, and so I'm just going to look so people can see it. So there's a bunch of buildings, and this is about, I mean, built. You have a bunch of different built-up areas. Building 183 meters, 330, 200 meters, 235 meters. A bunch of buildings. Some are 2 stories, some are 1 story. 4 buildings.
Yeah.
And so you have visitor center. And you have, and so you've come up with this idea. Now again, why can't? And is this stamp? Is this? There's a. When was this from? Oh, it's HaShomer. Okay.
Yeah. And you see the people themselves.
They've got turbans on.
Yeah.
They look like
they're Jewish, but they look a little bit like Ottoman Turks. Yeah.
What's interesting? Above other things they did, they said if you live in a land, you have to learn how to live in it. You know?
Right.
And you have to think the way the people think.
That's right.
And a lot of our problems is that we come to a place and we have to, our enemy is Arabs, and we don't think like them.
Right.
And we don't get even to understand the level of hatred and what they can do. So it's very important, you know, that when you come to a land, learn what's happening there first, and then you decide. What is also interesting in our center is that we want also to work with the environment. So we have the forest of Bet Keshet, Yar Bet Keshet, that we are going to do all kinds of activities there. There's an archaeological site just on the fence. It was from Bayit Sheni, second Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, all kind of very interesting things also to show the Jewish connection. And we have farmers that we are in touch with them, you know, to work agriculture for today. So that will be a center that will do a lot of things in the area itself. It's not only a building that you come in, you go out. It's a lot of other things.
How to summarize and how important is it that young people today don't just play video games and just be regular consumers and go shop and watch movies in the theater? How important is it that young people become pioneers, not just learn of pioneers of old in these books, but become a pioneer themselves? Is that important?
I would like to say that's a great question. First of all the pioneers in the land of Israel throughout all the generations, from the beginning of the modern Zionism, have been young people. The pioneers are young people.
Yes.
In the old Israel, in the state of Israel, the first people who went to the borders that we are talking about today of the state of Israel, the people who went to live in Judea and Samaria after the 6-day war and after Yom Kippur War, they are the young people. And in the end, if we look about the war in Gaza now, we look at our heroes. These are all young people, like you, by the way, who is fighting down there in the Yahalom.
Yeah.
And that's a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
And we're very proud of you.
Yeah.
So the young people, they are the future. We know that. And the better you educate them, and we see it very clearly, who is better educated than others, without saying anything about who and who.
Yeah.
That's it. We have to take care of the next generation and the next generation, and to know your future, you have to live the present, but you have to know a lot about your past. And this is really what we are trying to do here, hopefully in the Chabad HaShomer, to get our young people to understand where we come from. And when you know where you come from, you know exactly where you have to go.
That's right. I know one last thing is that some people, when they think we love Israel, they automatically think that means we hate Arabs. Like, not at all. Arab people have such a good life here. They could be in the Supreme Court, they could be policemen, they could be in the army, they serve alongside.
They're Israeli
citizens.
No question.
Yeah, and you have this, it's the best life for them. They don't have a good life in Libya, they don't have a good life in Gaza, they don't have a good life because of Sharia law and because of the dictatorship oppression. But they don't realize that, you know, what God promises in His Word is good for all the sons of Abraham. I like the Abraham Accords, so last word I'll ask you, Moti. Do you think that the Abraham Accords is a moment where we can maybe see a new reality where people that are not extremist jihadists will be able to live a life with Israel?
I absolutely think so, yes. But I know, we also know, and we have that in our minds all the time, that there are those jihadist groups, and they are very big. And they are not only in Israel and around Israel, they are in Europe, they are in the United States, they are in South America.
Thank you for watching this episode. If this episode touched you, your voice matters. There's hostages, there's tunnels, there's frontline voices that the media just won't bring to you. We are in the 8th front of this war. 7 fronts is Iran and its proxies. This is the 8th front, the media, the disinformation. Your gift, your donation helps us share the truth. Please donate on the link below.